Hello, this is Baby Boomer Tales, and my name is Jim. You can find us at babyboomertales.com. Our website has things like our Boomer's General Store, links to many places you can find our podcast, including our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and more. You can contact us at babyboomertales@gmail.com. It's a nice day today. The other day, though, probably a week ago now, there was so much wind. It just blew and blew. It was hard, violent wind. We were in a wind warning, a fire watch, red flag warning, all this stuff. Well, wind comes and wind goes, and it turned out to be pretty nice for a few days. And my wife decided to take some flower seeds to our neighbors. We have this one area on a chain link fence around our little backyard, we call it. And it's a purple leaf that just goes everywhere. And towards the end of summer, it gets these pods, and it's really very striking, very pretty. Kind of makes a wall on that chain link fence, and so it's kind of cool. And our neighbors, Dave and Pat, had mentioned that it was kind of cool, and so Kim took them some seeds because she has to plant the seeds every spring up to them. And they were telling her about a tree that fell across the road and blocked them on their driveway. And it was on our property that the tree fell. It was along our fence line, along the ditch that runs by the road. I didn't even know this. This has happened a couple weeks before or something. And Dave called the county, and they came with a motor grader and pushed the tree off of the road and into my ditch. And apparently Dave tried to talk him into hauling it away, and the county, of course, wouldn't. And Kim came home telling me the story, and I had no idea. No idea whatever. We walk up to the mailbox every day. It's, a nice little walk up there. And it was clear up by my west neighbor's fence line. And that's quite a ways from our house, and I couldn't see it from my windows facing the north at all. And so it was news to me. So yesterday, Kim took me by there. She just called me on the phone and said, "Come outside." And I came outside, and she was sitting in her car, and "Get in." So I got in, and she drove me there and told me the story. And I looked at it, and it's a pretty big tree. It wasn't the tree itself. It was a branch off of the tree. But it is, 18 inches, 2 feet in diameter, and very long. It was broken in half, what I see of it. And so tomorrow I am going to take my chainsaw and my pickup and go see if I can cut up some firewood, get it out of the ditch anyway. Hopefully the wood is good. It looked like it wasn't termite eaten or anything. It looks like the wind was just so violent that it probably got that branch swaying and it snapped right in two. So nobody was hurt, and I don't know how many people driving that road were mad at me. It must have just happened or something early, and Dave caught it. I'm going to ask him why he didn't call me. He just took care of it. They are good neighbors. That is a fact. Well, I've had Mom and Dad around here, swimming in the pond, walking around on our front yard, hanging out over by the whistle. That's the place where the excess water from the pond goes out. Mom and Dad are a couple of Canada geese that come every year, hang around for about a month, 6 weeks, and then you'll see some baby geese following them around. They'll walk around the property a little, swim around the pond. They'll do that for a while, and then just all of a sudden they're gone. And then next year comes, and this has happened for years and years. And so I thought I'd check up on Canada geese. I always call them Mom and Dad, and I figured they're the same two geese. You have two kinds of geese. migratory and locals. And these two have to be locals. They just hang around all winter. We'll get geese all winter. But then you see the geese migrating, to the south in the wintertime and to the north in the summer. So I looked up a little bit of facts about Canada geese. Our unusual facts today are about Canada geese. Not Canadian geese. They are called Canada geese. Canada geese mate for life. Their goslings walk and swim within a day of being hatched, and then the goslings can fly within 2 months. Canada geese live 10 to 20 years. The oldest known was 33 years old. Canada geese can eat up to 4 pounds of grass per day. There are approximately 5 million in North America, which is an amazing number since at one time it was feared that they would become extinct. So I do believe that those same two are mom and dad every year. There's no reason in the world why I would believe otherwise. I wouldn't change a thing in my life from the day I was a little boy until today. Now, this is a little complicated for me because I dwell on some stuff that I would have done differently. Some of that stuff is I wouldn't have been so wild and disappeared on my great adventures without at least letting my parents, my family know what was going on. I would have embraced a work ethic better when I was younger and saved my money better. I don't think I would have quit Jay at the trading post. I would have stayed there. I maybe wouldn't have moved to Kansas if I would have stayed with Jay. But you know what? Some of this stuff, the reason I wouldn't change, even though I dwell on it a little, is because all of these events in my life shaped me for what I am today, the man that I am. I did my best raising my children, although I probably could have done better. I think every parent would tell you that. I have tried to be the very best husband I could be, and yet I think I have fallen short so often. I wish I could tell my mom and dad the regrets I have of not thinking of my family and just doing what I did. I used to think I wasn't hurting anybody, but you know what? If I'd have been in their shoes, I'd have been very hurt that my oldest son was crazier than a drunk billy goat and they couldn't figure out why. So no, I wouldn't change a thing. And yes, if I had to do it all over again, knowing what I know, I would have tweaked some of that quite a bit. I would have appreciated working at my dad's store. I would have honored my mom and dad for being such great, caring parents. I would have not put my brothers and my sister through the stress that I caused in the family by nobody knowing if I was alive or dead. I would have stopped thinking pie in the sky and thought, how can I help Jay and the folks there at the trading post that have given me so much? I would have been tougher on my kids, or at least not tried to keep things equal amongst my 2 girls. That's a trap I think a parent falls into that is not good. If I had any advice to give a young parent, it would be treat each kid individually, because they are definitely individuals and not a group. Okay, the title of this podcast today is Imagine I Can. The song Imagine by John Lennon, 1971. Remember that song? How can you forget it? It still plays. People sing it and all that stuff. I was a big Beatles fan, I was, and John Lennon was my favorite Beatle. But about the time Yoko entered his life, my opinion only here, but John Lennon's quality went down. Quality as a songwriter, quality as an individual, quality as a role model. There's a line in there saying about no religion and peace and love and all that stuff. And I agree, I do not like religion. But he also went on to say, imagine there's no heaven or hell. And being a Christian, I don't believe in religion. And I do believe there's a hell, and I believe in heaven. So John, I'm really sorry your life came to such a tragic end. I remember the day after, or 2 days after something, I was at a Denver Broncos game, and there's a big banner, huge banner, clear on the other side of the field, honoring John. It was a homemade job, not by the Broncos. And I was a little in shock at the time, and some of his early music is like no other. There's a movie called I Can Only Imagine. It was put out in 2018. And it's from a song by the group Mercy Me. And it talks about what heaven's like and meeting Jesus. I Can Only Imagine. What a wonderful song. If you haven't heard it, you ought to take the time and YouTube it or something. There's a group called Imagine Dragons. They're an American band formed in 2008. And I learned something today about them that I didn't know as I was preparing for this podcast. I always thought they were either an Irish band or a Scottish band. Why I had that in my head, I will never know. I never even heard of them. And I had a secretary once that was telling me all about them, so I always liked to play music in my office. So I started playing some Imagine Dragons, and I really enjoyed them. And right there's where I formed the opinion that they were from over there in Scotland or Ireland. Anyway, imagine, the dictionary definition is to form a mental image. I do that all the time in life. I just imagine. Like I say, I imagine what maybe life would have been like if I'd have been a little different. I imagine what my life will be like in 5 years. I don't go much past 5 anymore, but I'll be in my 80s by then. I can only imagine. The last thing I want to cover here is Nobody's Too Lost to Be Found. I watched a movie, it's probably been 6 months ago now, about a little boy that got lost and how they just did not give up looking for him and eventually found him. Now, a lot of times when somebody's lost, a hiker or skier or something, they find their body, and sometimes they never do. People disappear all the time, and that's a sad statement on the human condition of this world. And I can see why my parents, how that could have aged them. Oh, my, Jim. I'm glad they forgave me, and I'm glad God forgave me. But nobody in this life, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, nobody's too lost to be found. Oh, that's about it today. I didn't have much of an outline, just a few bullet points. Time slips by in the blink of an eye, so be brave, be generous, and always be kind. Somebody out there needs you. I'll be back next Wednesday. That's my plan. Have a great week. Peace out.